Good morning. My name is Rob Newman and I am one of the partners at Carter Collins & Meyer. And today's video is about bookkeeping software. Please bear with me. It's not as dull as you might think it is. And what I'm also going to say is I'm not talking any brand names. I'm not making any specific recommendations today. Every accountant you speak to will have their own opinion on what's the best software. But the best software is the one that you actually use and the one that works for you and your business. And as I've said in other places, I am software agnostic. I have a fairly large client who I actually say stay on Excel because I think Excel suits them, the way they work and the information they produce better than anything else. Indeed, they run Excel superbly. They run it exactly like an old school cash book used to be run. And if that's what's right for your business, that's what you should do. And today's video is essentially that. The types of software that are available have become vast. There's so many different variants of it nowadays. And all of them have some excellent features about them, and all of them have some significant drawbacks. My own personal favorite doesn't have a bank feed, which is crazy in today's world. But what it does have is a thing called a universal import sheet that allows you to take bank statements as PDF and drop them into the software. It doesn't do it automatically, you have to do it as an individual, but I'm willing to accept that because I find the piece of kit brilliant. So what should you look for? Well, I actually think you should look for a bank feed nowadays, and I think that is one of the things that is a weakness in my own personal favorite. Most of the big names that you will come across do have that capability. Most of them are there. There should also be an ease of uploading documents and data. Some sort of capturing of it where you can scan that document, take a photograph of it, it captures it and puts it into the accounting software. You're not having to sit and rekey things. And there should also be a great system for producing invoices. That's going to become particularly relevant in the next couple of years because by 2030, everybody in the UK, in business, in small business, is going to have to do what's called e-invoicing. E-invoicing is a process of sending electronic files across to people. It's not just a PDF document. The PDF documents are a stage towards it. Now, all of the mainstream accounting software is working towards that and will have e-invoicing in place. Indeed, some of the alternatives, some of the challenger banks that are not really that challenging anymore, but still call themselves that, are putting systems like this in place. And some of them have some interesting developments coming in accounting software, which if they continue to use and develop it, will actually provide a great solution for a lot of owner-managed small micro businesses. Some of that has been driven by MTD for income tax, and it will be positive to bring some new blood into that market because there is only a few major players. I think some of them can be quite challenging, but my experience is the banks tend to lose interest in that type of work fairly quickly when they realise it's not the moneymaker that they first thought it was. They tend to then abandon users and move on. So I'd have some caution into it. Something else you might want to look out for if you're choosing software is the integration. Now, integration is how it links to some of the other things that you use. Some of the other things that you use may be industry critical. Certainly in my world and in my business, we have specific systems that just work for accountants. It tracks how your tax return is going through the process. It tracks where your accounts are up to. And we like having software that creates invoicing and that puts the invoicing into the accounting system. So a piece of integration and what talks to each other can be very useful. Lots of professions have that. In one of my other hats, I teach martial arts. I teach traditional karate. And in teaching traditional karate, I have a system for tracking attendance at the dojo. And that attendance tracking software also links to an accounting piece of software, and not my favorite as it happens. So in both of those cases, the day job of accounting and my evening job teaching martial arts, I use software that directly links to specific systems that is not my preference, but it's a good piece of kit. So if you have some industry-based software that you use a lot, you need to consider that as well, because you don't want to be sitting rekeying one piece of information into another. Indeed, in my own business at one time, that's exactly what we had to do. We were having to rekey lots of this information into that system. And there was one person at one stage employed who did basically nothing else. If you start looking at the costs of that, if you have that type of bottleneck in your system, it can be very, very significant, far more than the cost of changing the software, despite the disruption that changing that software will cause. So when should you look at changing software? Well, exactly that. If the price and cost of disruption and physical is more than the benefit that you will gain elsewhere. Lots of owner-managed businesses are going through looking at that right now. With what's happening with MTD, with what's happened in the last couple of years, and with the increasing amount of integration between apps, even for people like tradies who are out and about every day, people are choosing different forms of software. Which means something that you should look for is how intuitive is it for you to use? It's great if your accountant loves it, and it certainly helps if they support it. But if you are with a firm that only does software A and only software B talks to your booking system, you might have an issue. That's why my own practice, Carter, Collins and Meyer, is software agnostic. We don't claim to be the best at any particular software, but we do work across broadly all types of software. And if recommending something, we will certainly look at what works best for you and your business based on what else is available. Sometimes that is, as I've said, an Excel spreadsheet. I can certainly think of one company that works better than anything else out there does at this time for them. But it might also be one of the big names. Within those big names, there's some great offerings and some great things. Some of them are more well known than others, and pricing is a consideration. You have to look at that pricing as part of the overall cost of doing business. Just because one of them looks fancy and is expensive doesn't mean it's the right product for you. So you need to consider the complexity of the software, the fit with your business, the integration with anything else, the use that your accountant may have or not have of it, and at the end of the day, the budget that it costs. If you approach each piece of software that you use with that basis and be willing to give it up or move on, you won't go too far wrong. As ever, if you do have some concerns or want to talk through some of the software options, myself, the other partners, and some of the people within my firm, Carter, Collins and Meyer, are happy to talk to you. We have some guys that concentrate more on this piece of software or that piece of software than others. So it may be not somebody that you normally deal with. It may be one of the other team members because they prefer that particular piece of kit. But that conversation is really useful. If we can help, do reach out. My name is Rob Newman, and I am one of the partners at Carter, Collins and Meyer.